Hi everyone, Teddy Baldessar here, joined by a familiar face, Joe Kirk from Grand Seiko. Great to see you, sir.
Back again, great to see you.
It's always exciting when we get together, but I think today, maybe even more exciting because of the hero product that we have in front of us. Not to spoil anything, because I want you to do the honors. I argue this is one of the most important products that Grand Seiko has released in the last decade. Chronometrically, as well as something exciting in the bracelet I think many people will be enthusiastic about. So Joe, could you give us a quick highlight on what is in front of us?
So, yes, I think decade is a good way to look at it, but possibly best product, most ideal product possibly ever. So, it has a lot of things. So we're gonna have to unpack a lot today, but to summarize it as quickly as I can, we have now achieved the pinnacle of accuracy in spring drive, right? We're not measuring seconds by the day, seconds by the month as we have with conventional spring drive. We've actually achieved annual accuracy with the spring drive mechanism. So self-winding movement that attains the highest level of accuracy ever achieved for a self-winding or a manual winding watch, basically any watch powered by a mainspring, within 20 seconds per year. That's one.
Okay, that's 1 point. What's point two?
Point two, downsizing, right? That's something that we've heard often about, and Grand Seiko has a very high durability and longevity standard. So it makes it hard to downsize and also accuracy standard. So the more you downsize, the more you compromise those things. But over the years, we've been developing new things, and you saw a lot when we introduced the 9RA 5 years ago. A lot of enhancements to reduce the thickness, but now we've also reduced the width. So this new annual accuracy spring drive is in the ultra compact size of 37 millimeters cased and 11.4 thick.
That's amazing. And then in addition, we have
this. I think everyone's going to sing about.
We have an on-the-fly adjustment clasp as well.
No tools needed. I wanted you to do the honors on that. So
you hear that,
yes.
Everybody? Did you hear that? It's over. It's here.
It has happened. It has happened. So yes, we developed a unique and patented micro-adjustable clasp that is all done without tools. So a lot of things that people have been asking for. Maybe annual accuracy we've never heard the request for necessarily in spring drive because it was so good to begin with anyways.
Yeah. 9R65, 15 seconds a month. 9RA2, 10 seconds a month. So maybe we start there. Let's start with the movement because I think that is an unbelievable development. If you're talking about plus or minus 20 seconds a year, this is one of the most accurate watches you're producing, and that's including just quartz timekeeping with 9F.
Oh, we're competing heavily, yeah.
So, this is unbelievable. So the product is known as UFA. Do you want to just introduce that and then a little bit more about where this all came from? Because it's almost like, why? Why do this?
Of course, yeah. So UFA stands for ultra fine accuracy. So this is the most fine accuracy. This is the most fine-tuned watch that we've developed that that Spring Drive has ever achieved. So with UFA, we kind of have it as a nod to the past, right? If you remember, I'm sure you do, but if your viewers are familiar with Grand Seiko. Grand Seiko was developed in 1960 to be the ultimate practical watch, right? The best possible everyday wristwatch. And so from that, we strive to achieve ultra high levels of accuracy since the beginning. So, in the initial statement from Grand Seiko, we achieved levels exceeding that of chronometer. By 1966, we developed the Grand Seiko standard that went past that barrier. And then in 1969, we introduced what we called VFA, or very fine adjusted, which was accurate within 1 minute a month, which back in 1969 was unheard of. So the pinnacle of accuracy in our vintage assortment, let's say, was the VFA. And these very fine adjusted watches were mechanical, purely mechanical. There was no spring drive at that time. So, but ironically, in less than a decade later, we started the development on spring drive. Right, the whole concept was birthed by an engineer in Suwa Seikosha at the time, now our Shinshu watch studio basically, which is a part of Seiko Epson Corporation, as you know. So the Shinshu watch studio, essentially back then known as Suwa Seikosha, was in the development with the engineer Yoshikazu Akahane, had this brilliant concept based on a bicycle rolling down a hill and applying a brake to slow the speed. Except in watchmaking, applying a brake physically is a lot of friction and a lot of things you don't want in a watch. So he wanted to do that essentially magnetically to slow the speed. And so this idea came to fruition in 1977, but it took ages. It took nearly 30 years to go from the concept to our first continuous production product, which then was introduced to Grand Seiko as 9R caliber, which we introduced in 2004. So a long time coming, and this brilliant engineer got to see the first prototype and the first limited samples come to life before he unfortunately passed far too early. But a bit of a tragic story, but I'm sure he'd be very proud of where his team brought Spring Drive to today. So
in terms of the case and what is being presented, you have 37 millimeters, it's thinner case, bracelet is 20 millimeter at the lug.
Correct, yeah, part of our Evolution 9 design, so at least half the width of the case.
Slight taper down to 18 millimeters, and then the caliber, what are you calling this caliber? So what's this new introduction of the caliber going to be phrased as?
So, in 2020 we introduced 9RA5, and then the following year 9RA2, which had the power reserve indicator on the back. This will be known as caliber 9RB2. So this new caliber, the UFA caliber, will actually have ultra-fine accuracy engraved on the oscillating blade, on the rotor on the back, and this is a refinement, let's say, from evolving from the 9RA series. So obviously, with this we downsized the caliber, so that was one of our big points that we wanted to do, is reduce the overall size, so we can make a wider variety of sizes throughout the Grand Seiko collection in Spring Drive. And Spring Drive is naturally a wide movement, and even 9R65 is a relatively wide movement. But when we introduced 9RA, we have a 5-day power reserve with the
2 barrels, right?
Yeah, dual size barrels, so 2 different sizes, and still very modest in size, but it limits how far we can take it down. So for this particular movement, we decided to go for a 3-day power reserve with a single barrel, and that helped us overall reduce the size. But what's cool about this is we also retained the single-piece bridge for the durable construction, but also to help enhance the overall height. And then also the offset magic lever, which is still as efficient as it would be, but no longer centralized, which means you can take the height down as well. So to reduce the overall height, we have the offset magic lever and the one-piece center bridge. So
it still has the frosted finish, and then if I understand this correctly, 9RA2 will represent, for those consumers that want something with longer power reserve, you get the 5 days.
Correct.
This is for somebody that wants the pinnacle of accuracy from Grand Seiko, from Spring Drive.
Absolutely, and I don't think people will mind the 3-day power reserve
Not
either.
too shabby.
It's still more than the weekend, right? So, for this new caliber though, it's not as simple as just repackaging 9RA and something new.
What was the breakthrough? What was the breakthrough that allowed this to happen?
To get this level of accuracy, it was really down to the oscillator, right? So to kind of summarize how Spring Drive works, everything is powered solely by the mainspring. So the motive force from the spring, as the spring unwinds, is driving the gear train. So from one to the next, which in turn drives the hands. And then as you get to where the escapement would be in a conventional mechanical watch, we have kind of our iteration of an escapement, or our trisynchro regulator. So this uses the mechanical energy to generate a small electrical current to then get the accuracy from a quartz oscillator and an ultra low power IC. In 9RA and in 9RB series, we have also temperature compensation. So temperature compensation allows for these minute fluctuations in the oscillator's frequency due to temperature to be corrected. And so that's as simple as I think I can explain it. But by detecting temperature 540 times a day and essentially correcting the oscillation rate. So we also age the quartz oscillator for 90 days. And now we also have a test to ensure across varying temperatures to ensure that this oscillation is as perfect as possible. But to achieve this annual level of accuracy, this pinnacle of accuracy for Spring Drive, it really came down to manufacturing and structure methods. So, when you're creating the oscillator and the IC, this is where we had to fine-tune our methods in order to achieve this ultra high level of accuracy. So basically it boils down to manufacturing methods and also the actual construction of the components. So when we introduced 9RA, we introduced a new IC we call the package IC, spring drive package IC. So unlike 9R65 or 66 or any of the other previous generations of spring drive before it, this actually encapsulated the quartz oscillator within the IC itself or within the package itself, right near the SOI CMOS IC. So it's a silicone on insulator, or it's insulated with silicone to help prevent any basically parasitic traits or leakage, which basically reduce the overall power consumption. So that's the key to spring drive success in operation, is being ultra low power, not just in the IC, but also from some mechanical standpoints as well. So that ultra low power IC in the package IC is accompanied with a temperature sensor and corrects, as I mentioned, for temperature on top of its already ultra high degree of accuracy. So with this, because we're enhancing the methods, we're able to achieve this annual rates.
And Joe, we were talking a little bit before getting on camera. You were also mentioning that the ability to fine-tune and regulate a quartz oscillator is also available on this, which is also something probably people don't realize. We always hear about regulating a balance, but you can also regulate a quartz oscillator as well, and that was also part of the breakthrough as well.
Yes, so this has never been before achieved in spring drive, so that's something that has been a goal and a target of ours for some time, to be able to add the regulator switch. So basically, we can control on a very, very microscopic scale the long-term accuracy. So basically, quartz oscillators have this tremendous level of accuracy because of the ultra-high frequency, right? Similar to how we use a high beats to increase the level of stability and accuracy in a mechanical watch, utilizing the quartz oscillator at, instead of 4 hertz or 5 hertz, 32,768 hertz is the oscillation speed. So, dramatically different than a conventional mechanical watch, and that's how we achieve high accuracy. But over time, a quartz oscillator may start to sway in one direction or another, and that is part of the long term. It's not something you'll find noticeable, but it takes a very long time. So we considered serviceability for this watch as well, and how to be able to fine tune it at the many years later to get it back to near perfect. So that's a new feature incorporated solely on the 9RB2 caliber. So one of the other things I mentioned too, because you can clearly see the regulator switch on the back.
Yes, right to the outside of the
with the little
bridge,
plus
yep.
or minus next to it. So it's very cool to see. But on the other side of that, you can see the package IC as well. Now on the 9R6 or 9R8 series of spring drive, you cannot see the IC. The IC is sensitive to humidity, it's static electricity, and UV, so it can't be exposed. But with this, we've been able to overcome all of those challenges as well. So a lot of cool little touches. As you see also, we have the power reserve on the back on the oscillating weight bridge, which is featured with a tempered blue hand. And then a little more symmetrical design, it's in line with the Grand Seiko logo. And then we do the Shinshu frosted finish with the convex beveled edges and concave sinks. So the beauty of the finish of this movement is really spectacular. It really shimmers and sparkles in the light.
Black polish for the screws, is that what that is there?
Yeah. So these will not have the tempered screws as you see on 9RA, but the mirror polish screws, yeah.
Another question, Joe, for just positioning-wise, where are these sitting in the hierarchy of Grand Seiko? Is this above the 9R A series, or is this more equivalent to? And we have two pieces in front of us. You have titanium as well as platinum.
Yes.
So maybe give us some more understanding of that too.
Absolutely. So for the titanium model, which will be continuous production, right? Which
Good point.
is amazing.
Yes.
We can do this in a continuous method. I'm sure we're going to face some challenges with production capacity, but in terms of the continuous production model will be in a very similar price segment, which surprised me actually a lot, to the 9RA series. So the retail price for the reference number is going to be SLGB003. will be the continuous model, will be at 10,900. So very in line with our Evolution 9 collection, which this is a part of. And then in platinum, we're going to do a limited edition, 80 pieces only, and that will be 39,000. So.
And then the platinum has this light blue dial color. This will have this traditional white silver color that we've seen through.
It is a silvery white, but with a very subtle undertone of blue as well.
Okay.
So just a very faint hint of blue compared to the platinum model.
And this is a new dial texture as well. So what is this dial texture exactly?
Yeah. So the dial texture is based on the frost that you would see on trees in ultra cold winters in the Kirigimine highlands in Nagano Prefecture. So we're calling ice forest.
Nice.
So the ice forest is a bit more, repetitive, let's say, in nature than some of our other dial patterns, which are a little more organic and free flowing. But in the crystalline structure of the ice and snow itself that you would see form on these trees in the ultra cold winters of Nagano, that's kind of the theme and the basis here. So it makes sense, right? But beautifully executed, another stunning dial for us, and I think that everyone, once they see it in person, will be very impressed.
Looks amazing. Speaking of amazing, Joe, we have to talk about the on-the-fly adjustment, because every single time we would talk, it seems like there would always be something in the comments saying on-the-fly adjustment, on-the-fly adjustment. What was the development of this? I'm sure you see these comments, right? Grand Seiko seems like a brand that doesn't ignore these type of ideas from their customers. When did this all start coming to be, and what was the development process for this like? Because this seems like a completely built from the ground up, new clasp, you have on-the-fly adjustment without the need of tools. Can you just give us some more information about that?
Yeah, I mean, this is something that we've been working on for quite some time, but all good things, take time, unfortunately. So this is the struggle that we face. So Grand Seiko, like I said, is made to be practical and great for everyday wear. So of course, an on-the-fly micro adjustment is something that we wanted for our brand. However, Grand Seiko also has very high durability and longevity standards. So when we're designing this clasp, we're thinking about, serviceability as opposed to just replacing parts and things of that nature. How long is it going to last? Grand Seiko needs to have an ultra high longevity. So this is very important for the design and the characteristic of the brand as well. So those are a couple of hurdles that we had to face in the development in itself. But then also, you have to think micro-adjustable clasp with no tools. There's only so many ways you can do it. And I'm sure there are many patents out there by other companies that we might have infringed on in the development process, even without looking at them. So I think that that also created a bit of a challenge for us. But I found it so funny. And Mr. Akio Naito, the president of Seiko Watch Corporation as a whole, with his comment on LinkedIn.
I remember seeing it.
Yeah,
He's not the type of individual that would go out of his way to leave this very cryptic, no details about, but it's just coming. It was, I think, the sense of what he said. But.
It was so good. I was so excited to see him take that step and kind of push the envelope a little bit because, we're a very reserved brand, but he had a keen sense of what to do in that situation. Someone had commented on LinkedIn that, "Where's my micro adjust?" I think were their exact words, and he replied with, "On the way." So not implying that it's going to be anything immediate or anything like that, but we were working on it. It's something that's been a challenge for us, but we wanted to create the best possible product, and those things take time. So now we have it. It's capable of adjusting in 3 steps, 2 millimeters each. So a total of 6 millimeter adjustment is possible without tool. So that is, I think, one of the things that people will be most excited about. One of the downsides that we're going to experience right now is production capacity for the clasp as a whole. So it's not going to be something that we're going to easily just, sell as an additional part or
those questions are going to come.
Yeah. So I do want to try and address them a little bit here. That this is the one model that will feature this clasp, and for the foreseeable future, I don't know how long it's going to take us to get to where we need to go to be able to expand it throughout the collection. But obviously we made the effort, and we're on the right path, and so I expect everyone will be very excited to see that, and we appreciate, of course, the patience while we try and expand on the production capacity.
I understand the timeline could be well into the future, but is the hope that this would be something that could be rolled out to many of the models, if not all of the Grand Seiko models in the future?
Yeah, so I think that, at least from my personal opinion, not everyone will want this clasp on a thinner bracelet like in our dress series. This kind of it's a longer clasp because you have to have the micro retained within the clasp. So in this instance, it may not be as comfortable or as elegant as we would want it on more of a dress watch bracelet. So I think that there are certain places that it would be most fitting that we would consider, of course. And yes, I think just in developing in itself, that we would want to see it across other models as well.
In terms of its operation, there's just a simple button underneath the clasp. You just press it down and you slide it.
Slide it all the way out, and that's what I like to do, is just slide it all the way out and then find the right fit, clicking it one click at a time. So yeah, very well executed, very easy to use, and
I don't know the total height of this, but I mean, I have handled a lot of different on-the-fly adjustments. This seems to be the thinnest actual clasp I've seen it integrated with too. So you've done a nice job in not adding this additional weight and heft with incorporating on-the-fly adjustment. And then that's sometimes you look at all these different clasps and you're just like, why don't we just include that? But from an engineering standpoint, there's usually a benefit to having this like dual button, very clean. If you look at the back of this bracelet, I'm wearing a white birch right now, it's all on the same plane, same line. But to try to keep that profile with on the fly is difficult. And if you look at most other executions of it, that's not the case.
True.
But you're keeping that on a very similar plane, so it's actually not even, it's almost the same thickness as the links themselves, which I think is the first thing I noticed when I picked this up.
That is a goal, and it's increasingly, as you know, more difficult to achieve when you are starting to add more parts and more functionality to it. So with your white birch is the perfect example, and every other Grand Seiko before it, basically on a bracelet. Our goal was to keep the clasp as thin and as comfortable and as a fluid part of the bracelet as possible, based on comfort. Now, obviously, in today's world, the micro-adjustable clasp has been, expanding throughout the industry, and to be able to do it and retain the thin nature and keep it, fluid with the clasp itself, is a very important part of the design. So yes, you nailed you nailed it in terms of what our goal was.
Well, you guys nailed it. So in terms of like availability, when are these going to start to become available for customers that are interested in these products?
So as this launches day one of Watches and Wonders, the announcement goes live, but starting sales in June, so not far away.
Okay, no, not too bad.
Yeah,
only a couple of months.
Yep. So as I mentioned, there are a couple of challenges in terms of production capacity. Obviously, this new incredible movement, the Evolution 9 design in itself is a very complex case and bracelet to manufacture and finish. But then on top of that, this new micro-adjustable clasp. So all of these things, add up to a potential difficulty for deliveries. But we're making it continuous production, and our goal is to continue to learn to expand over time.
Well, Joe, thank you so much for this. I mean, it's always amazing to get in front of you and learn so much every single time we sit down. But
no, it's my pleasure.
The enthusiasm I have for this brand, I mean, I think you know it, and I think for so many other people out there that they share it with me. And I think one of the things I love about Grand Seiko is you talk about this idea of innovation that gets thrown around by brands, but oftentimes it's sandwiched around ideas of in the 20th century. What I love about Grand Seiko is even here, as we're in 2025, you're pushing forward chronometry. Like to be able to have a watch in my hand right now with, you could argue, is the most accurate watch that was ever produced that's automatically winding, which is unbelievable to say that now. So I just commend you all for doing this and also listening to customers with the on-the-fly adjustment. That's nice.
Oh yeah, no, I mean, thank you. It's a huge honor, and the realistic situation is, don't think that we're stopping here.
I love it.
So,
love it. Thank you, Joe. Appreciate it.
My pleasure. Thanks, Teddy.
Bye.